bars got that swing. Glasses clink, hear the ice cubes sing. Liquid lunch, pour it smooth, let it flow. Friends round the table where the good times grow. Raise a glass, let the worry slip away. Liquid lunch, we're living for today. There's Troy laughing with his gin and a grin, telling stories about where he's been. Boomer's got whiskey, he's loosening his tie, chasing dreams under a midday sky. The bartender knows us, he's mixing with flair. Every sip's a moment we're happy to share. Liquid lunch, pour it smooth, let it flow. Friends round the table where the good times grow. Raise a glass, let the worry slip away. Liquid lunch, we're living for today. The clock don't matter, we're lost in the vibe. Jazz in the air, feel the soul come alive. From martinis to bourbon, we're riding the wave. Stealing this hour, it's the freedom we crave. Sun's still shining, but we're in our zone. This bar's our shelter, our temporary home. One more round before the world calls us back. Savor the moment, keep the blues in the rack. We'll laugh, we'll toast till the afternoon fades. Memories made in these liquid escapades. Liquid lunch, pour it smooth, let it flow. Friends round the table where the good times grow. Raise a glass, let the worry slip away. Liquid lunch, we're living for today. So here's to the daylight, the drinks and the fun. Our liquid lunch, till the next one comes. With a wink and a smile, we'll be back real soon. Chasing that jazz under the high noon.
Va salut and welcome. Happy Thursday. Happy weekend eve. Good to see all of you here today. Hope you're all doing well at this past the midpoint, heading into the weekend. Let's start with Big Al. Big Al Presents, who says, happy, thankful Thursday, Liquid Lunchers. Have a great show today, Troy. Thank you so much, my friend. I super appreciate that. Maybe not as much as I appreciate being the love of this beautiful woman's life, but, still thankful nonetheless. She says, like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, become a member, gift a membership if you are feeling particularly generous. Yes, help us get back to 100 members, which is where we were ending off last year. That would be absolutely wonderful. Merpa, here I are. It is lunchtime. Welcome. Good to see you. I am thankful to be here and thankful it is Thursday. Well, I will drink to that, me and my monkey, Mark Ruffalo. And Mark Ruffalo is a monkey. Actually, I think that's kind of offensive to monkeys to draw that comparison. I am thankful for Thankful Thursday, says Aged Boomer. Aged Boomer, I meant to, if I hadn't been in such a rush on Tuesday, I wanted to touch base with you. The original thought that we were going to have for Friday, I want to postpone that. Let's do the winners and not winners and losers, but pros and cons. Yeah, maybe wins and losses in the pop culture battle. in the culture war. Okay, I've done a lot of talk about it, just this week on Liquid Lunch. So I think we have a lot of material, and I'm feeling like this is probably the time with that Super Bowl halftime show, the the numbers that came out on Snow White, some talk about the budget on Mandalorian and stuff. I think all of those things are very, very time specific, and I think we should talk about that on Friday. And since, as Lynn Green has pointed out, I don't currently do promo spots during the show for Friday last call, I might as well just talk about it on air and give you all the heads up, including my partner in crime behind the scenes there. Jonathan Conroy says, "Hail all, smash the like button and enjoy the show." Yes, please do. All of those clicky things. I would greatly appreciate it. The bird woman of YouTube and Fluff Chick Productions, Connie Cleary. Hail to you. Connie is just such a wonderful supporter. She's been with me as a member since memberships went up. For the first time, she was absolutely one of the first members, and she had an issue that many of us have had. I definitely did, where there was something going on with the credit card, and she had to re-up her membership. It couldn't auto renew or whatever. And she sends, and I think it's so sweet she did this, even though this is exactly the same thing I did with the people I'm members of. Sent a DM to say, "I'm really sorry. I had this credit card issue. I'm not quitting or whatever. I just got to get my credit card lined up." And so I saw all of her, on all the different channels that were on. I saw her, become a member. That's how YouTube says it. It's like she didn't stop being a member. In fact, she never even came off the membership roll. I have to keep up with that for the closing credits. She never even came off, because what happens? You pay for a month, and if there's something that happens during that month, you don't see it on the roll. She's still a member. She paid for the month. And so she re-upped when, the month break would have been anyway. No interruption in support there, Connie. And just the fact that was so important to you means so much to me. Something else I am very, very thankful for on this Thursday. Mark Melnikoff says, "Thankful for this channel and for friends." Thank you so much, my friend. I know you are doing the hard work out there in the dilithium mines, dodging the slings and arrows of layoffs. But you've been wise enough to keep your head down, keep yourself out of middle management. So I think you will probably be just fine, at least as long as you choose to stay there. I know you have a Beridian patch, in reserve, so that you can beam out of there at a moment's notice if you so choose. What weekend? What's that? There are none on Aurora Pente. Yeah, I know that. I know exactly what you mean, my friend. I love seeing you guys all say hi to each other. That's super encouraging. That means this is exactly what I expect it to be: a get together, a hangout, like friends getting together at a pub on their lunchtime. Penny. So good to see you here. Thank you so much for being here. And again, everybody's saying hi to each other. I love it. Win and losses in the pop culture war. Yes, exactly. That's my plan. Yeah, Netter's been in meetings all day. So while she may not be terribly thankful for that, I am thankful because I know she works so hard to literally she what she does every day, albeit in the 9 to 5 workforce, does it directly to support our ability to be able to bring you this content. And I greatly appreciate that. I'm so sorry to hear this, Penny. Mother-in-law passed. Husband had knee surgery. Husband must be having a tough time too. Been up since 5 a.m. I know that feeling. Oh, I absolutely know that feeling. When you don't get enough sleep, staying hydrated again really does help with the headaches, or at least it eliminates the most likely cause for headaches. I especially when someone is grieving, you tend to lose a lot of moisture, and you don't even realize how much. And that's why, for example, crying literally directly causes headaches. So make sure everybody there is staying hydrated. It's the one thing I can offer as something to help you feel better. It's been a rough week. You said that. Yeah, sometimes these comments go through twice. I don't really know why they do that. Me and my monkey hanging out here in the chat. And yes, hugs, because you are the huggy one. You're always putting in that huggy emoji, and you deserve the hugs. Really. And like we were saying to Leanne the other day, just remember you're part of this community. Those of us that are believers are praying for you, and I mean that for everybody, not just Penny. In her struggle, but even if it's just during the stream when we see you here, we're thinking about you, sending out positivity, making you feel like you're part of this community, because you are. And that is something to be truly grateful for as well. My power port getting squirrely again. Got to call in the repair guy. Fingers crossed. When you say power port, is that a computer thing? And is this the computer you just got fixed? I'm concerned about that. That's yeah. See, yeah, this guy's a prayer warrior, at least in the Catholic sense. Salute. As a recovering Catholic, I acknowledge that. But it is computer related. Yeah, well, there should be some sort of a guarantee on that on that on the work they did. So for crying out loud, hit them with it. Make sure. Okay. So I'm at the 15-minute mark, and I, something, pretty typical to be thankful for is a little mystery box that I got, probably something I ordered. Let's take a look and see what I got here. And, yeah. Okay. So I don't have the other one here. I recently, just this year, let's see, this is February. So yeah, this year, January, February, going into March, the Disney store, they don't call it the Disney store anymore, do they? Shop Disney, is doing some exclusive Star Wars action figures, specifically droids. They do this droid factory shtick. I'll explain it in just a second. But right now they're doing a different droid every month. I don't know if it's intentionally limited edition, but they do tend to sell out very quickly. They go on sale on, I think it's the first Friday of each month. This is the second figure, and I was able to snag one. And I got lucky with this because I have been trying to be disciplined about my schedule and my timing and whatnot. So I actually have a calendar here, planning out the shows and the topics and the so forth, especially when I'm trying to get promos together and stuff. And I just threw on order this action figure, on that date. Went in, ordered it when it went on sale, no problem. Got it within a week. It's not really a pre-order. You're literally ordering something that's all right. And I'm like, okay, that's the way you do business, right? So I get, I order the figure. Bosk's Bounty does his video because he already had it in hand. He got it from a buddy in Ireland. I guess they got it a week earlier. And he said, I'm so lucky that my buddy in Ireland was able to get this for me because it sold out in England like that. And I looked and it hadn't sold out yet. But then by the end of the day, sure enough, in the US, it was sold out. And Netter says to me, she's like, oh no, we missed the figure, because she saw her tab open for it. And I'm like, no, I already got it. It's on its way. No problem. And this one, they're calling it CU28. It was supposed to be, as I recall, CW24 for Carl Weathers and the year 2024, because this protocol droid is Greef Kargan's protocol droid from The Mandalorian. I don't know why they changed the designation on that droid. Maybe his family didn't want that, or something. I don't know. But I am not going out of my way to get more recent Mandalorian figures, but I did get the ones from that first and second season. I've got more Grogus and Din Djarins than I care to even mention, but I of course have Cara Dune. In fact, I have Cara Dune right here, off camera, but I do have Cara Dune, which became very difficult to get when Disney got stupid, or got stupider, I should say. And of course, I have the Greef Kargan that's been put out. It wasn't the one that actually stood next to this droid, but you take what you can get. And I loved Greef Kargan. I loved Cara Dune. Those are great characters, and I am getting ready to game master a Star Wars role-playing game for my D&D group on Wednesday nights. And I think I'm going to introduce some of those characters into our headcanon version of the future of the Star Wars universe after Return of the Jedi. It's going to take a very different path than Disney's had, but I'm going to honor some of the characters that I did like, and maybe repurpose some of the action figures as different characters too. Yes, that's the other thing too. Instead of using those little lead miniatures, with all the terrain and stuff, I'm actually going to use 3 3/4 inch action figures for our game representation. So yes, I will be playing with action figures for reals. Gorilla's random. Oops, I thought I brought this up, but I didn't. Gorilla's random thought says, "Plop. Got a lurk still, very busy from when I left. Totally understand. Get caught up on your work. You don't need to see my ugly mug to enjoy what I'm saying. At least I hope you're enjoying it if you're here, right? Like, share, subscribe, comment, and become a member. And if you were going to give a super chat of $5 or more, why not gift a membership instead and make our family grow? At least grow back to the 100 members we had at the end of 2025. We are thankful for what you do, Troy, Netter, and everyone involved. Thank you so much, Connie. I know that's true. You just the way you support me says that all the time, but I do appreciate you saying it. Good news, I am not coughing. Thank you so much for the $2 super chat, but thank you for sharing that good news. That is something to be thankful for. Maybe a little bit of free breathing too comes with that, I hope. Big Danny D, welcome, my friend. Troy, have you seen the new Spider-Man Noir trailer? I haven't seen the new one. I didn't know there was a new one. I will check that out after the stream. I'm curious about it. Ever since Into the Spider-Verse, okay. You got me on a topic, so give me a second here. Let's way back, back to the early days of Little Troy and his comic book interest. It was actually before I started reading comic books. I was in grade school, and a lot of friends would talk about superheroes were big in cartoons. That's where we got most of our exposure to superheroes, particularly those reruns of those 1960s Marvels. So there was the, Spider-Man does whatever a spider can. And the Marvel superheroes. Basically they were motion comics of some of the classic Avengers comics turned into a cartoon format, usually with the evil German symbol, obscured, and other things changed for. Yeah, they were doing it even back then. But that was my primary exposure to the Marvel characters. And then there was, while that was happening in grade school, we had all these different events with the Boy Scouts and around Christmas time, fundraisers and stuff. And they had this outfit where participating in the Pinewood Derby and whatnot, you could win. It kind of like, you could win first, second, and third place, but you could also win varying levels of these little token tickets that you could spend then at the vendors that were there, basically so that you could get Christmas presents for your friends and family. Well, there was one vendor there that was selling comic books, and we just started picking up a whole bunch of comic books. And some of them were Marvel. They were like one-offs and things like that. It's the kind of stuff that these days you would get at a free comic book day, which was pretty cool and kind of started my interest in comics. Anyway, some of the comics that I saw him selling were these, let's see, DC had Who's Who in the DC universe. And Marvel Universe had some sort of a reference to, Marvel Universe, whatever. And what was really interesting about that, it was like literally A to Z, if you got all like 24 issues. And it would talk about, just like in Who's Who, show you the picture, give you their stats. It would talk about their background and their history and so forth. And for characters that had any kind of technological stuff, like Spider-Man had his belt with the light on it and the tracking beacons and the web shooters and stuff. They had like schematics. You could almost imagine like, oh, I could almost build this. I could almost make one myself. Right? So that's when I really was getting into Spider-Man and started really getting interested in comic books. So I did eventually start. Spider-Man was the only comic that I was getting. And so people don't realize this whole concept of multiverses really started back with the comics. with mostly DC, but especially with Marvel, in what you guys now know as the what if universe, right? There's the cartoon. I will admit I've never even watched one of these cartoons on whatever channel it's showing on, but I read all of the original comics. They were usually a single issue that had a single question: what if Uncle Ben hadn't died? What if the Hulk went berserk? What if Sue Richards died in childbirth? I mean, some of these were pretty grim ones, and they were one shots. They usually ended in a way that there probably couldn't or shouldn't be a sequel, or it implied a completely alternate future. I loved that. I got all of those first runs of the Elseworlds. So then when Into the Spider-Verse happens, I'm like, this is their acknowledgement of that, alternate universe. And I think they've even done a comic that was, or not, excuse me, not a comic, a cartoon story. I don't remember if it was one of their what ifs or if it was one of the 90s Spider-Man cartoon series. I think they did one where they looked at what if Uncle Ben hadn't died. Very, very interesting. So yeah, that was a long drawn out story, but it was an opportunity for me to go down memory lane with my history with comics and Spider-Man and alternate universes, to why I would be interested in the Spider-Man noir. And yeah, I will check out that trailer later this afternoon after the stream. They changed it because if they acknowledge this is why it's named after that, then Disney would have to pay. You say, and I was just talking about this the other day. There was an exclusive video on another channel talking about Star Wars, and saying that I don't remember exactly what the commenter said, something about dollar store version of this and dollar store version of that, referring to Disney Star Wars as dollar store versions of the original Star Wars. And I'm like, I think it's even worse than that. My personal opinion is that the reason they've killed off legacy characters to stick in their own, Temu characters, is because, for the same reason that a lot of stupid things have happened in comics for many years, they don't want to pay out any royalties to some creator. Keep in mind, they did buy Star Wars from George Lucas. That doesn't mean that he isn't still entitled to compensation as the creator of those characters when those characters are used and referenced in an ongoing thing. So if you kill off Luke and Han and Leia and every other person, you don't have to worry about that. Problem is that in so doing, you kill the golden goose too, because those are the characters people care about. So boo-hoo, you have to cough over a few shekels to Uncle George. The other option is that nobody gets anything. So yeah. Oh, it was just released an hour ago. Well, that might explain why I didn't see it. I was working on editing. I was working on editing the promos for the weekend and the beginning of next week, which I'm going to play right now because we are at the midpoint, and then I will come back to what you guys were talking about and thankful for. So I can also refill my drink. So stay right there. Give me just under 3 minutes, and I'll be right back.
You are watching Liquid Lunch, streaming every weekday at noon Central, 1 p.m. Eastern. Let's sip together.
This week on Big Al Presents Films with Friends, a 2-night double feature. First, on Friday the 13th, still haunted by his past, Tommy Jarvis, who, as a child, killed Jason Voorhees, is sent to a secluded halfway house in the countryside, where the killing of a young man triggers a brutal series of murders in the area. It's Friday the 13th, A New Beginning. This Friday at 7 Central, 8 Eastern. Then, on Saturday the 14th, a family inherits an old mansion, which houses the dangerous Book of Evil that has all the monsters of the world trapped inside it. It's the comedy classic Saturday the 14th, Saturday at 9 Central, 10 Eastern on Big Al Presents.
Every Sunday evening, Aged Boomer and Last Call with Troy Pacelli bring you the rundown of the week's geek news, or at least what they think is interesting. You may have heard about it elsewhere, but Boomer and Pacelli spin it like only two old geezers can. It's Geeky Geezers, every Sunday evening at 8 Central, 9 Eastern.
This week on Last Call presents Doctor Who. The TARDIS arrives on Earth in the 13th century, where it is claimed by famed explorer Marco Polo as a gift for his employer, Kublai Khan. Polo hopes to finally buy his way out of the Khan's service, but if he succeeds, the Doctor and his friends will never be able to get back to their ship ever again. It's part 1 of the reconstruction of the missing media Doctor Who serial Marco Polo. This Sunday on Last Call presents Doctor Who.
Every Monday night is Members Night at the movies on Last Call. Members enjoy an exclusive watch party just for them, and you can join too for as little as $1.99 a month. This week, the members will be watching the film that was just edged out of first place by one vote last week. A famous rock star falls in love with a psychologist who has never heard of him. It's Rick Springfield in his sizzling motion picture debut, Hard to Hold. Members, please join us Monday night at 9 Central, 10 Eastern. And if you're not a member, please consider it. It really helps support what we do here at Last Call. Thanks. We now return to our liquid lunch.
Regarding the Spider-Man Noir, it looks very Sin City. That seems appropriate considering the noir edge of both of those. That would be on point. And as I recall, Nicolas Cage doing the voice for the character. Kind of looking forward to that. I'll definitely be looking into that. And then we've got Booger, who says, "Sorry, I'm late." Don't worry. It's fine to be here for the back nine, whatever your lunchtime is, not everybody gets a full hour for lunch either. So if you're coming in for the back half, that's fine too, whatever it is. Kind of like a utility belt. Yeah, utility belts. Spider-Man had a belt that had a red light on it. Kind of the Batman shtick, but it was like Spider-Man's face. It was supposed to confuse and maybe put a little bit of fear into his. But the advantage is if you're behind a light, you blind your enemy; they can't see you. So that's the advantage. And then he had web cartridges around the outside, just like with the Hollywood guns, they have clips that you never see them put in, but plausible deniability. He never runs out of web juice because he's got, extra cartridges. And then he just happens to run out when the story needs him to. Oh, I forgot to refill my spares. Oh, man. Or, I was low on funds. I didn't have the money for chemicals for my web shooters. That iconic series was called The Official Handbook of the Marvel Universe, often abbreviated as whatever the heck that is. Hotmu. That's right, it was. It first launched in 1982 and was designed to be a definitive encyclopedia of the Marvel Universe. characters, organizations, and pieces of technology in the Marvel landscape. Yeah, I remember they had like a schematic of Stiltman stilts of Dr. Octopus's uh, arms and the integration into his spine and whatnot. Trying to remember some of the other ones. Yeah, I mean they would show like Mjolnir and stuff like that, but there's obviously not much there's not schematics to that. They treated it as though it was a magic relic. Same with the Eye of Agamotto, the symbol for Doctor Strange. I remember when DC decided the Silver Age was Earth 2. Yeah. Yep, that's right. Uh, and it's always been kind of unclear exactly what stories took place in the Golden Age. Therefore, no, wait a minute. Silver Age, Golden Age was Earth 2. Silver Age, Bronze Age was Earth 1. Am I right about that, Booger? I think that has changed in the modern day because now they've decided that what was Silver Age, what was Silver Age is now comparable to Gold Age for this modern audience. I think they did some great things with Crisis on Infinite Earths, but it caused as much confusion as it cleaned up. I liked What If, but sometimes they ran with the tangents. Yeah, sometimes those stories actually got so popular they overstayed their welcome. I wish writers would learn that sometimes less is more. Sometimes when you hit gold, just leave it alone, right? Because if you keep going back to that well, you'll sour it. I think you see Star Wars doing that with Grogu. They should have just had the single story arc of the Mandalorian delivering the child. Originally being hired to, as a bounty hunter to obtain it. Then he could have decided, no, I'm not doing that. That would be wrong. And turn him over to the Jedi and be done with it, right? Grogu's out of the story. Nope. They just have to keep going back to that well. And that's kind of ruined it. I argued that Stephen Moffat did the same thing with the Weeping Angels. He did a great thing with that first appearance of the Weeping Angels. He should have left it alone. The more they went back to the Weeping Angels, he started writing stories that we could no longer suspend our disbelief on. It was better to keep it small and not overdo it, but he ruined it. Some of these what if stories become their own alternate universes, and I mean, I guess that's fine if you want multiple series going on. Okay, you're not interested in the mainline storyline. Do you like this Ultimates timeline? Okay. If you don't like that, do you like, this more representational universe? That's whatever. But yeah, I do tend to agree. And then I think another thing you're alluding to, Booger, is that some of those stories ended up working their way back into the mainline canon, which I don't know. First I remember is What If Rick Jones Became the Hulk? I remember that one too. I had that, but I don't remember it as well as What If the Hulk Went Berserk. Because that one was that was the first one that I saw that was like really, really grim. And then not too long after it, What If Sue Richards died in childbirth? And that's really grim too. These all have very, very tragic endings, I mean, there's even a little bit of sadness in What If Uncle Ben Had Lived? You're like, oh, great, Uncle Ben lives, right? But then when you open it up and see the actual title, what if the story is actually, what if Aunt May had died? What if she had been the one that died instead of Uncle Ben? So it's just as tragic for Peter, but having that strong male influence in his life kind of shapes the kind of superhero he ends up becoming. He becomes a very different, little bit more well-adjusted kind of superhero. So there you go. We can actually argue that multiverses even go way back to mythology, Olympus, Valhalla, Earth, or Midgard. I'd like to explore that a little more. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just not quite seeing it. But you're probably right. People have gone so far as to say that time travel stories go back at least as far as Rip Van Winkle, and other such folklore. So yeah, Rip Van Winkle is kind of like Buck Rogers, kind of like Steve Rogers. Boy, if you have the last name Rogers, you're destined to get flung into the future, aren't you? I liked DC Elseworlds better. They stayed on point better. True, possibly, but they also had their clunkers too. Sometimes they would start out with a good premise and then kind of overrun it. So there's two that I think of. One is Darkest Night, and the other is Speeding Bullet, both of which are what if Batman's origin was combined with a different superhero. In the one case, what if Batman's origin is combined with Superman's, and the other is what if Batman's origin is combined with Green Lantern. So in Darkest Night, Bruce Wayne is having his crucial night of trying to decide how to honor his father and his pledge to stop crime. And as he's kind of talking to the statue of his father, two things happen. One, the bat crashes through the window, and the image of Abin Sur comes through the statue and says, Bruce Wayne, you are needed. And he is just happens to be closer to Abin Sur's crash site than Hal Jordan. So he receives the lantern ring, and he becomes a dark version of a Green Lantern with a cape. And he focuses so much on fighting crime in Gotham City that the Guardians of Oa are like, no, you can't do that. And if you're not willing to represent your whole sector of space, we're going to take that ring back. He goes, you're not taking the ring back. And his will is so strong, he is able to kick the ass of the entire combined rest of the Green Lantern Corps. So the Guardians have no choice but to give rings to Superman, Wonder Woman, and the Flash. And they kind of fight Batman to a standstill. And then he says, this is kind of stupid. Maybe I should just take care of Earth, and you guys can go take care of the rest of the galaxy or whatever. Which is a fine story in and of itself, but it gets mired down in having to combine Batman and Green Lantern's rogue gallery. They have to be so literal about it. So you end up with a character named Gemini, what's his name? Harvey Dent. Harvey Dent becomes a combination of. Was he the one that was the Sinestro analog, and he uses the yellow lantern to burn half of his face? And I don't remember. And Starfire and Catwoman or something. I don't really remember what it was they did. It was really kind of bizarre. But what was even worse was Speeding Bullet. Kal-El's rocket crashes on in Gotham City on the Waynes property, and so the Waynes adopt Kal-El, name him Bruce, he has the exact same storyline as Batman. You know, they go to the movies. On the way home, Joe Chill kills his parents, and he loses it. And in his grief, he completely wastes Joe Chill with a blast of heat vision. And he is traumatized by that, and he doesn't know what to do. He feels terrible. He's, murdered. He's as bad as them, and all this kind of stuff. The bat breaks through the window. He decides he's going to use his powers to become like the bat, like a creature of the night. Da, 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 da. Okay, so what you end up with is a Superman-powered Batman. Okay, great. Great concept to begin with. Unfortunately, they decide that for some reason that somehow results in Lex Luthor coming to Gotham City, buying up a bunch of property, including the Gotham Globe, where Lois Lane becomes a star reporter. So she becomes like the Vicky Vale / Lois Lane character. You find out that off camera, Lex Luthor had fallen into a vat of chemicals at Star Labs that he was an experiment he was working on. He becomes a Lex Luthor Joker, and it just goes on and on and on. And it's like they're trying to pigeonhole all these villains, and it's like, but for all of those stories, there's also stories like Gotham by Gaslight, and Holy Terror. Most of the best Elseworlds, I feel like, were Batman stories, although Cal was a really good one, which was a take on the Arthurian legend, where Kal-El is Arthur. So very, very interesting. Yeah, some good stuff, especially after the court ruling on Sherlock Holmes a few years ago. New characters stay out of public domain longer than old characters. That's true. That is true. But they're also they've also Mickey Mouse rule has kind of cut that off, and it's no longer going to be extended the way it was. I think one of the biggest problems with copyright law too is when you have UK and US having different rules, and then other countries having different rules. So in other words, it could be public domain in one country, but not in the United States. Well, screw you. I'll just download it from, a site over there. What are you going to do about it? I remember Tom from Midnight's Edge After Dark talking about all the older comics and cartoons going public. Steamboat Willie was just the first. Yes. And if I'm not mistaken, either the earliest Fleischer Superman have gone into public domain, or they're about to. They're really, really close. Salute. Deleted Scenes is at work. Can't stay. We'll catch the replay. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Something else for me to be thankful for. This is one reason why we see new costumes on all the characters we grew up and loved. Exactly right. This is exactly right. So when you hate on the absence of the red trunks, or you hate on the red trunks, or whatever it is, or you don't like the collar on Super, that's why. That is why. The 20% different concept, right? It's the same reason that J.J. Abrams had to change so much about Star Trek. So he got the royalties for all the lunchboxes and the action figures, not whomever it would be from CBS. It's the same thing with Superman. It is the exact same thing with Superman. In fact, a big part of the whole no tights, no flights rule for Smallville, you can argue that it was Tom Welling. You could argue that it was, the guys behind the show, whoever it was. the real underlying reason was that there was a lot of issues between Superman and Superboy. Back in the Silver Age, Superboy was just Superman as a young man in Smallville, already starting to be a costume superhero, and he joined the Legion of the Superhero and all that kind of stuff. Well, there was a lawsuit between the Siegel and Schuster estates and DC Comics over rights related to the Superboy character, and so the courts split the proverbial baby and said, okay, anything you do with Superboy goes to the estate, but DC Comics now owns Superman. And so they decided, okay, fine. That's when they decided in their reboot, in the 80s, there would be no era where he was Superboy. There would be no Superboy. He would start his career as Superman, just like in the Christopher Reeve movie when he goes to Metropolis. But they also saw potential for marketing the Superboy character, so they created a brand new Superboy with a completely different costume and a completely different origin. He was a clone of Kal-El with some DNA from Lex Luthor. Make of that what you will. And he was one of the 4 Supermen when during the Death of Superman storyline. Let's see here. I remember the fold-out diagram of the SHIELD helicarrier. That's right. I may have had my silver and gold mixed up. I blame you, God Cornelius. No, actually, I blame the guys, Julius Schwartz and all those guys way back when they decided that idea. They decided that Earth 1 would be the storyline that was current, and the older guys would be Earth 2, which seems completely contrary. It should have been the other way around, but there you go. Group is to Star Wars as Nermal is to Garfield. There you go. Grogu. Grogu is to Star Wars as Nermal is to Garfield. Kind of true. I meant, what if I had tangents upon tangent? Rick Jones becomes the Hulk, but then also Bucky, but as the Hulk. Yes, they did do stupid stuff like that. You're absolutely right. And I don't think Elseworlds doubled up on their what ifs. You liked In Darkest Night? I wanted to like it more. I loved the concept. I just feel like it took the combined Rogues Gallery too far. I think when you're doing alternate timelines, you've got to think what would actually change, right? I don't think that the Rogues Gallery for the Dark Knight would change just because he has superpowers. Most of that history would probably be very similar. The Joker would be the same. The Catwoman would be the same, and so forth. And he would have no reason to interact with Lex Luthor and Lois Lane. And there's no reason for them to come to Gotham. It doesn't make a lot of sense. If they were going to do a double up, though, you could then do a what if there was no Superman. You could tell the same story of Darkest Night, but tell it from the point of view of Metropolis, where Kal-El isn't. Because he didn't go there. He was in Gotham. What happens with Lex Luthor? What happens with I don't know, any of those things. It is possible that when Brainiac comes along and is trying to, take Metropolis, he succeeds in taking Metropolis. And even though it's not his city, Bruce Wayne decides, I got to do something about this. And he goes and takes on this galactic invader after the fact, and maybe Metropolis becomes his version of Kandor in Gotham City. I don't know, just some of my ideas. Yes, I couldn't remember the name of it. Leatherwing. That's basically Batman as a pirate. That's right. That's right. Fighting the Contessa / Catwoman. Yes. I love that idea, where you give them whole completely different settings, and you're not playing around with blended things. It's, anyway. Really hate James Gunn's Superman costume. I agree with you. It's better than the previous one, in my opinion, but I hate that collar. I really do. And I hate the Robert Pattinson bat suit. I hate the Robert Pattinson Batmobile. It just looks like a black sports car. It's just not even a sports car. Like I don't know. I do remember the Amalgam comics. That was weird in a kind of cool way, because it does the amalgamation, and it's kind of intentional. It kind of pokes at the similarities, because you have a whole history of Marvel and DC clearly ripping each other off. So the idea of and even if they're not ripping each other off, if you have similar relationships, like you have Captain Marvel, who receives his powers from lightning, and then you have a lightning lord in Thor, right? Putting those two together kind of makes some sense, right? Of course, I might be thinking about the lead up to the Amalgam universe, where they were caused to fight each other. They were related, but not the same thing. If Bat Lantern stays on Earth, maybe Jack T. Chance will have to expand off of Apocalypse and run the sector. That's an interesting kind. See, this is the kind of thing where I just don't feel like the writers think these things through enough. And this is the same problem you run into. I'm not even consulting the source material. Well, this is why you fail. Anyway, guys, that's the show for today. So many things to be thankful for. Just thankful for the opportunity to hang out with you guys and take this turn down memory lane with comics and superheroes, and a time when it was so wonderful. I had a little bit of an unboxing, not to steal anyone else's thunder, but Netter is having an unboxing tonight on her channel. So make sure you get over to Netter's network tonight at 9 Central if you want to see what she's been sitting on this for 3 weeks now. I just got mine in the mail. I'm like, I want to open this, right? Hers has been sitting for 3 weeks, and we get to see what her unboxing is tonight. Tomorrow night, of course, as I said, we're going to take a status account of the culture wars as we see them on Last Call at 9 Central, 10 Eastern, on right here, actually. And you guys saw the promo, so you know what's coming up over the weekend and on Monday. So I want to thank every single one of you for being here. You guys really do make it possible for me to do this. So if you enjoy it, just keep coming around and keep hitting that like button, and make sure you subscribe. Of course, I have subscribers only set, so you can't comment if you don't subscribe. It's a little bit of a reminder to you in case you accidentally do get unsubscribed by the platform. And there's Pops. He was lurking. Just stopping in to say another good one. Thank you so much, my friend. Salute. Salute to you, and salute to every single one of you. So thankful for every single one of you. You all take care of yourselves. Stay healthy. Get healthy. Hail hydration. Drink responsibly, and I'll see you on the next one. Salute.
Goodbye. Hope to see you again real soon.
So here's to the daylight, the drinks and the fun, our liquid lunch, till the next one comes. With a wink and a smile, we'll be back real soon, chasing that jazz under the high